Back to what we doing today though. We not talking about Chris Brown or music today. We're talking about real estate. Talking about using it for the community. It's the First Generation Millionaire podcast sponsored by Indy. What's good?
Hello, we are back. I feel like it's been like 2 weeks?
Yes.
2.5 weeks? So last time we talked about the basics of wholesale real estate, and Tyler got to introduce how he got into wholesale real estate. And it was really cool because we talked about how simple it is for kind of like our generation to start jobs like that and kind of turn them into entrepreneurship, especially during this pandemic. So today I wanted to continue that conversation with our friend Mikhail. We actually all grew up together, ironically, in middle school at Our Lady of Peace.
Yep, at the meeting place.
So that's pretty...
Shout out to the meeting place. Right there.
Moonlights, you feel me? 8-0.
Right out there in the city. In the
Years.
in the
Right. Blue Knights.
There's good people
But,
down there. Good work.
I ended up running into Mikhail randomly while I was actually working during, before all the pandemic stuff happened, working with one of the CDCs that he actually works for, Burton Bell Carr. So I was in the midst of doing like several things for several festivals, and we were literally about to start working on War 5. And I run into Mikhail, and like he ends up telling me that he's working at Burton Bell Carr, which is a community development corporation. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically a corporation or a community center, supposed to be in everybody's inner city. If you're from like a Cleveland or Detroit or Chicago, urban areas, you're supposed to have this. And it has all the resources that you're supposed to have for your community or your neighborhood. And you're supposed to go there, and you're supposed to understand that you can go there for literally any resource that you might need.
Yeah,
so
one of the first CDCs was made by JFK down in I was in Brooklyn, in the Flatbush area. It's a way that you can directly help your people, just like Irish communities. That's what JFK was. It was Irish, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, that's first CDCs. That's what a CDC is, a nonprofit. But
You're right.
yeah, man, Jada and Tyler. We went to the meeting place together. We was Our Lady of Peace together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good community that all those establishments are in, like real important. So shout out to Cleveland and shout out to all the people.
Definitely. And that's actually like that Buckeye Cleveland area that we were talking about last week. So I wanted to actually bring him on to talk about what he does at Burton Bell Carr, because his company is in charge of the renovation that's about to happen at Buckeye.
Oh, that's dope.
So you
Oh
can
yeah,
go now.
like they said. Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
What are you guys planning to do with Buckeye Shaker area, with that whole area and that renovation? What are you guys doing?
they got the white. We're gonna be white labeling. So white labeling is when you get buildings and you make it better space for the community. From a local approach. So, and then, a lot of things I can't say that the company and their strategies on how they are going to redevelop the Buckeye area, but you can see that we have great establishments like the Box Spot, the Ridolph Foundation, CMHA, the Garden Valley House, Cornucopia Place,
Right.
where people can just, gather and it be cohesive and, economic development happens. Because Buckeye's doing great. There's a lot of great establishments down there.
Mm-hmm.
And, the community is moving forward. But, I was just talking to Tyler. We were just talking about a joint venture. I'm like, it's possible, Everything is really possible. It's a lot of space. And they ain't making no more, land.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, right. That's dope, man. That's really
Dubai
dope.
made land. China made land.
They made them skyscrapers. They definitely, Dubai's essentially like Vegas, though. It was nothing there, and they just said, we're going to figure a way out and make something happen right here.
So weird, man. You know what I mean?
I kind of beg to differ on the whole Dubai Vegas thing, more so because like they have just such rich oil reserves. So I think it makes it less of a Vegas and closer to like a Russia
Vegas is
or
like-
a U.S. for
Vegas
real.
is like imported almost, but
You know what? But y'all know that we are one of the most wealthiest countries. We have the most resources next to another kind of countries being, torn apart like Africa. America has the resources. You go to L.A., they're gonna be pumping oil all across the coast.
Right.
And you go to San Andreas, there's a fault line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the bottom of it, they pumping oil. So all the way to Vegas, they pumping oil.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Dubai doesn't have a super multicultural like America should have. You know, like Dubai is like, oh, we all on this one kind of way over here. And it might be a little crazy. I've never been to Dubai though, but
No.
I love being an American.
So, like, what do y'all feel like in terms of, like, what you see with Burnt Milk Car? What do you feel like is the future of Buckeye and what it could potentially end up being?
I think Buckeye could be, a potential for a Wall Street.
Mm.
It's got the infrastructure. You go on top of those buildings, you can see the city.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the route they going in? Is that
I mean, that'd be
is that the
something that
plans?
we have to come up with a plan. That we got to do planning for Buckeye and stuff
Right.
like that. So we got to get with the community and see what they want.
Yep.
And we got a great team that's actually run by your family. She's the one that can tell you exactly what's happening in Buckeye, because the community, the development corp I work for is the 4th, 5th, and the 6th ward of Cleveland. So it's a lot of different like components. But I would say like the Longwood area, we service the Longwood area, the Garden Valley area, all the way to the Fairfax, and then there's Buckeye. That's a lot of parts of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it could be Buckeye. You gonna have to tell me what you want for Buckeye, and I will support you on what you want to see Buckeye look like.
This is very true because you already know I have all the ideas. So that's actually crazy because we were actually just talking about that because y'all were mentioning while I was in the back seat, but I feel like I heard y'all talk about better food options, and I'm not really sure what y'all was talking about with that joint venture, but it sounded like community development-esque.
Yeah, I've been thinking how one thing I wanted us to talk about. Let's talk about that political plantation, or the way that we look at the economics of the community. Who owns and what kind of businesses is what
Right.
kind of stuff is it that we get that can make us like competitive. So I've been thinking about like how can we own the internet in
Wow.
the area. That's something that
Right.
is that we trying to put together, in response to the corona stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like how can you? What's the best kind of way to respond to all these people? Unemployment's supposed to going up to like 30%
Yeah.
for the whole country.
Crazy.
You're gonna have to have like a whole new kind of country.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new
system.
kind of energy in this. And what is that energy
What
gonna
is the
be?
energy? Right.
What's that's gonna make it like we want?
Right.
Tell me what you think of that.
Man, well, I think, like you just said, owning the internet, and if we talking like Buckeye and infrastructure and like the future, I'm always talking about those workspaces. We've been talking about that STEM back and forth or STEAM back and forth. And I think that would be the future of that, because if we're talking like what we've already been continuing the conversation of like gentrification and all that stuff, if we comparing this to like New York or LA, like they're totally above on like the owning the internet or owning the internets in different communities, certain communities pinpointing that.
Yeah.
And that's literally all that we're missing in like a Buckeye to make that, like you just said, make us stand out. And then we're a tourist city again, and not just because of sports,
Yeah, we right behind Columbus
Right.
in population, but we got the infrastructure to have it.
Yes.
Right.
But it's tough because we are number one in childhood poverty. We're like number one between three, and it's always been like it's been staying like that for a reason. And it's the same way in LA,
Yeah.
Right.
because that's what you see like Skid Row,
Just volume,
just like
Volume.
Which,
know,
in my opinion, something that could counteract those things is like these work spaces, like for the youth, because
Safe places.
they don't. Right. They need safe places to literally create and learn. They don't have education.
And you're working with CMHA, right? So you're working with the public housing and stuff out there?
Yeah, I really got a lot of love for CMHA after all the years. I got to go to their gala. It was kind of cool, I got to go up there, and they had gave the people we work for an award. I hadn't even been there for a little bit, so I was like,
That's
oh
dope.
shit, it's awesome. But you would look at a place like, down, I advise anybody who listens to this to check out Bridgeport Place, check out Cornucopia, check out WOVU,
Yes.
check out them places. And when you go there, enjoy, support it, but get to know the people down there too, because Anton, Gardena, there's some beautiful establishments down there. And if you see what Cleveland has, come and how's it been, you'll see like CMHA really cares. They do care, and they working to get people better housing and greater housing. It's awesome though.
That's dope.
I have a question for everybody. Why do you guys feel like real estate is such an important fuse for our generation?
Personally, I feel like Fuse is actually a good way to put it, because of like the idea of it being able to tear us down internally if it's used for the wrong things, type of thing. So it could literally be an explosion on the foundation, or it could spark ideas. It could spark new entrepreneurs. Like y'all came from a community out there, and the different systems that y'all came up in. Together. That sort of sparked y'all to think differently about your environment and about your city. That's why y'all are where y'all are now. The way y'all see the world. If you don't have stuff like that in place, and a lot of these places, I take Akron for example. I'm not from Cleveland, but I grew up here in Akron. Without the programs here that were available, without the public housing here, I'm sure my childhood would have been pretty different, because of the fact that I wouldn't have been exposed to the things I could have been exposed to, or I also would have been exposed to other things that I probably shouldn't have been. So that stuff is valuable in those years. The more, the thing is, when you take the formative years of the community, of the youth, into consideration, and you use it deliberately to try and instill specific values, like using the STEAM, using the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, using all those things to try and at least give people exposure, just to not necessarily to make them scientists, but to be like, this is out there. Give them the opportunity to understand what's really possible, and then give them the idea to explore, and give them the opportunity to explore that within their own community, a safe place, a safe community. It's valuable, and that's how you end up changing the city.
Everything he's saying, that's why I'm saying it would be a good joint venture, Tyler. Tell me what you think of that.
Yeah, I think it is the primary way to gain power, more so, and I feel like we need power. And honestly, like we were saying, to be raw and real about it, to have separation so we can educate our people the correct way on the right things. Because other communities, built up communities and cities and places, whatever you want to call it, the things are given to them for whatever reason. Yeah. And the things are not given to us. We don't have anything. Even the community that we went to school in, that we grew up in, is not really our community. We went to a white school, a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic or nothing like that. Right. It just was a good school to go to because it was in the community that I went to, that I lived in. And so if we, get real estate, invest in real estate, and invest in land, period, we can do whatever we want. At that point, we can teach what we want to teach. We can have the food that we need to have and live properly.
That's the one thing about, like what I'm saying, if you have people from the outside coming in using it, it's one thing because you still have something there. But when it's the community doing it for the community, you coming back to the wards, you from the area, y'all trying to fix what y'all saw wrong. Y'all grew up there, so y'all see the problems. Y'all know exactly what these kids are thinking about and what they need. So
what I think a lot of is we look at these rates, top 3 in childhood poverty, top 3 in at least connectivity, and as compared to Detroit and Miami, and I'm like, we need to really have a equitable internet initiative, Red Hook Brooklyn or Silicon Harlem. So we can say the first thing we need to own is the right to the internet. Because it's monopolized. We becoming more and more of a monopoly every second that ticks. And when people think of being somewhat, you're saying you're a socialist, and you can't be naive to say you wouldn't believe in union rights. And so, even if you don't want to work a job for somebody, you want to have a union for what you create, right? You want to get to be able to retain ownership of what you create, the means of production in your area, right?
Right.
Or you'll get blight, and that's what I hate is I hate blight. It's like we got so much, and it's it's kind of numbing when you just grow up with so much blight.
Yeah.
Right.
And we was just down on St. Clair in Cleveland,
Man,
and
right.
it's like if I was in a part of Akron that's rough, I see something that's like blight, or I'll be like, dang, this shouldn't be that way. But isn't what you gonna do about it?
Exactly.
What can you do right now?
Exactly.
And real estate must be the only first way. It's the only way to transfer some kind of wealth.
Yeah, like you said, the housing, the food, you know what I mean, and education, man. Just making sure that they know what they're doing. Because if you give them the right food, they don't know it's right. You know what I mean? Because
And when I say real estate, it's more than just houses too. I want people to understand
Fact,
that too. You got lots,
Yeah.
cement lots, grass lots,
You got
buildings.
you got empty
businesses.
schools.
A
You got
mall,
Yeah, come
owning a
on.
mall is real estate. Somebody own the mall and the stores is paying rent. So you gotta see how you can scale it as big as you want to take it once you get into it.
And it's tough because what do you think of the what Brian did? Because I'm a real big fan of it. And, you being from Akron, like I'm a real big supporter. I think it's like we have to have some part of the education system.
I feel like it's the first step towards. I mean, that's something that I feel like Brian's done throughout his whole career. For real, is try and show what's possible in whatever position he's in. And I feel like one thing is like, in this point, with the resources he has, the clout in general. You know what I mean? To try and put light on it. You know what I mean? It's to
The
be
ultimate
like,
cloud, yeah.
it's like, this is what we doing here. And almost spurring, like, I hope, in my eyes, it's not necessarily, I'm excited for it because I'm hoping that it shows what's possible. And other people with the same, with not necessarily the same level of resources and clout, but similar. You know what I mean? Because he's on like the epitome of that. But there's a lot in between us and that. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that
it's
some
like
of those
it's like
people
a
in the middle
platform.
ground- Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
that real estate could be a platform, just like you were saying Instagram's a platform. You'll never know it, but it's a way to use it, and just like the internet's a platform.
Yep.
So I think owning the internet, an equitable internet initiative in the communities that we serve, is a way to actually bridge that gap. And then real estate, of course.
Yeah, I feel like exactly. And with the LeBron thing, you know what I mean? It's just
I salute that, man. I always feel like it's got to be a big like link up, like Lorain County, Cuyahoga County,
Right.
Summit County, the Northeast Ohio that is the backbone of the whole Ohio.
for real.
That's
You know what I
very, very diverse.
Right.
Yeah, incredibly diverse.
Incredibly
you know what I mean?
diverse.
And it's-
Incredibly awesome. with a
Cleveland
lot
will
of
be the
fresh
epitome
spring
for
water.
that. Cleveland's gonna be the epitome for that. Hopefully, Buckeye can be that platform, like you said, can be
Right.
the Wall Street to attract all these entrepreneurs, all these like-minded people from all these areas in Northeast Ohio to come to one area and start creating and start building towards a better Ohio.
Because they got that
So,
the opportunity corridor is right to it.
Man.
They got a highway coming to it.
So in your opinion, like, why do neighborhoods like that depreciate in value?
Well,
man.
I got one for you. I think I got one.
I can tell you.
Okay, but you the flipper, so I think that when it comes to our property, we let other people put a value on it. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to our house, it might be worth. It costs like $150K to build a house after you pulling all the permits and paying everybody, no matter what. So you don't want that house. You want that house to appreciate. You want to get a return on your investment. But if I tear this house down, I could just fix it up and put $50K into it versus having to build a whole new one because I'm gonna have to put that price that high. But then also I'll be feeling like with our community, other people will put a value on it so low just because we own it.
Yeah.
just
you know?
because of us being in that area, you mean just because of what's going on in the area. a bunch
That's
of different
that's the
factors.
thing. It is. It gets so deep. It
It's deep.
gets
Down to,
deep
like,
because
crime rates and
like
stuff.
the people in the community are destroying their own homes, but they're destroying their own homes because of the environment that they live in.
Yeah, the effects.
You understand what
The
I'm
effects of
saying
what's
though?
going
But that's
on.
why we gotta own the community so we can teach people how to live.
Appreciate
Like
take
how
where
to
they
take
come
care of your
from.
stuff, and we gotta
Right.
own the homes. We gotta literally. It got to be 10 of us, 15 of us buying homes and buying up the community
Investment
and
groups.
and fixing these houses and
It's crazy.
And making it- 'cause
it's
these-
tricky. It's tricky because I could say one of our communities we get such a bad hand, but it's like on different angles. It's angles and layers to issues. You know, when it comes to groups of people.
Because even though
It's
when we
like-
talk about
it's
this
residual.
group that's trying to build up the Buckeye community and stuff, it's like you can have nice buildings on the end of Buckeye, but the side streets is infested with drugs and crackheads and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you?
It's deeper.
How does
It's
that?
deeper than just that. That's the thing. Like you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And start by setting standards. And part of that is you know what I mean, the nicer, you know, the visually nicer stuff, and also what's going on within the walls of the real estate. You know what I mean? If you put in the right.
But it
stuff
all
in
ties
there,
in though. Like
Yeah.
it all ties in. It's just we gotta use the real estate for the right thing too. We
Exactly.
can't just have.
It's what you putting in there.
Yeah, we gotta have the right stuff in the community, and we gotta get to the real root of the problem. And the real root of the problem needs to be said and not scared to be said. I don't have access to a lot of these people in these rooms, but if I could, I would keep it. I don't know how people talking in these meetings and stuff. But
Me too.
I
think-
We need to get the drugs out of the communities. Period.
I think a really important thing to recognize is sometimes we see other communities get built up in ways that we feel ours should, because whoever owns that land, property, etc., has something that they're able to have as a lost leader. So, like, in order for, you know, this community, say
Jewish
community
communities?
X, you said what?
Like Jewish communities.
Yeah, like in order for like community X to grow, they're like, hey, we need to have this pharmacy here, or we need to have this nice grocery store. That
And they just
sells
put-
fresh
I feel like they
food.
just
and those
put it
things
there,
don't
though.
make them money. You see what I'm saying? But you know what? They can
But-
afford to.
But it's so weird because it's like things like Whole Foods. Like you'll talk to somebody about going to Whole Foods, they be like, I can't afford it, but you can go there. You go in there, the prices is the same. It's just
Now,
the fact that you just how do you get there? How you get there from
Now,
a
exactly.
Buckeye.
or from a
Period.
Just be having to take Ubers and they ain't
We
got the money
literally-
for Uber, like
This
or
is,
whatever.
we said this last time when we picked up Biz Marquis. He wanted
Oh, yeah.
some. What did he want? Some
The
kale
kale chips.
chips. And we literally had to drive everywhere
And they probably
just
had
to
go to
find
Whole
out
Foods
they
and
were
Trader
Whole
Joe's.
Foods.
And think about what's
even
going on in
like
the grocery stores.
extracurricular. Like we don't have
Nothing.
safe, good
to
extracurricular.
your
We got what? We only got
We ain't really got
in the
nothing.
east side of Cleveland. We got Wood Hill is the biggest. Selma, Georgia is probably the biggest recreation center you can go to. That's
Right.
decent. They got some, everything that you
Yeah.
need probably.
Yeah, if we
like
talking.
other than that, you
yeah.
got to have a lifetime membership or go to a public school in a nice neighborhood that you probably don't live in. You got to find a way to use
Finesse
somebody's
your way.
address.
Right.
It's tough. that's the effects of that statistic of being in childhood poverty
Yeah.
being so high. It's not
Right.
like the wealth that we getting is just transferred.
Like, it'd be so
It's
funny.
like, it's a divide,
Right.
and it's a divide due to capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
So like we got this real good branding in America and have you thinking that it wasn't like blood spilled in a civil war, and and it wasn't civil rights, it was human rights, because a lot of times in these communities we being taken advantage of.
Yes.
Like it's so tricky. I loved shout out to all the elderly people out here, like all the elders that have made it so we can exist here as a people. But it's like they go through so much trickery, like they'll send them a letter, oh, your mortgage has been sold to this new company. You need to start paying your mortgage here, or your house gonna get foreclosed. Or it'll be, oh, we need to do some repairs on your house, and we'll put a lien on your property. So when you pass away, I still hold this amount on your property.
Right.
Or we buy cash houses fast, you never know. It's like,
Right.
Even with things like human trafficking, we got issues in Ohio. And it's like, it's right in front of us, but we don't really kind of see it like Skid Row, you know what I mean?
It's so
Facts.
normal.
Yeah, even
It's-
like out here,
it's
I
just
lived
tough.
out here, man. It's tough. It's really tough in Akron. Like honestly, I think so. It's some nice neighborhoods out here, but it's not too much different from Cleveland. It get rugged out here too.
Cleveland's
So
just a lot bigger, man.
yeah,
Just a lot more
it's
people.
bigger, but
I thought Akron's pretty
It's
big,
real-
though, isn't it?
It's not like Cleveland, bro.
no, Cleveland bigger. Cleveland
Cleveland's way
bigger.
bigger than
And
Akron,
Cleveland
bro.
has the advantage of having a metropolitan area.
And it's a- it
Like,
got- it's
there's no
support-
like greater Akron
support city
area.
too, man.
What
It's
about
just a lot bigger.
Cuyahoga Falls? Isn't Cuyahoga Falls like the other side of Akron?
That's considered North
That's
Akron.
just
but that's on
Cuyahoga,
the
it's
edge.
Cuyahoga Falls.
That's on the
And then
edge.
there's like suburbs on the outside of Akron, right?
There's suburbs, Fairlawn. There's Fairlawn. There's Medina. There's Green.
There's Bath.
It's a lot of land,
You know what I
man.
mean?
It's
It's a lot of just suburb though. A lot of trees. You know what I mean? A lot of trees A lot of land. I when I moved, I lived over here. I lived a few
Is there a
minutes
lot
from
of
here.
Native Americans that stay out here?
There's a trail. Yeah, there's a trail that goes right up through Akron.
What is it was a
Porter's
county I
Trail.
was in, and it was like I kept hearing it was like a lot of Native Americans living out. It was I can't remember.
Oh
the name
no,
of
this
it.
is Summit County, so it might.
It's
not
right
be.
on the line of Akron.
Am I thinking the word? Is that where Carlos used to live in Kent almost?
in Canton.
I was on
Cuyahoga
Akron
Falls,
and
yeah.
I seen a Native American pole right in Cuyahoga Falls. I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
kind of
go
like
right
this
up,
place.
go right up through there, man. It's interesting, but
Is
it's
it
like
peaceful? Is Akron got some peace? Can people get peace in Akron, or is it?
I mean,
like-
you can find it in the burbs. You know what I mean? It's a lot.
You
it's
can't find it in the
it's-
city, though?
No, like around here.
what's going on in the city in Akron? Like, is it
what's
just-
going on in the city in Cleveland? It's the same,
same
deal.
shit?
That's what he was saying. Like it's real similar to Cleveland. It's the exact same type of people.
Is it
the
like a lot
same
of
energy.
foreclosures?
Yeah, it's energy like that out here. It's
That's
still
what
like
we
that.
need to be
So,
on.
That's
We
what I was
need
talking
these
to him about out here.
Foreclosure homes.
Because there's a lot of there's a whole area up here. If you go up here to Copley and go down that way, they've been trying to revitalize the whole area. You know what I mean? You can see it. You can see it because it's a stark contrast between this building and that building. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's
Right.
clearly been built in the last 5 years.
And you know what
I
I'm
mean? So-
saying? We was saying that they can revitalize it, but if it's not done by the right person with the
Exactly.
culture,
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna,
what I'm saying.
It's
We need
gonna
people
not
like
work.
us.
And that's my problem when I roll up and
Exactly.
down there because the thing is, the stuff that's being built isn't necessarily stuff that's trying to. It's not like any centers being built or anything like that is going to try and build back to the city. I'm seeing, if anything, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's made from the people that's come around here. The Afrocentric stuff, whatever it may be, the stuff that's built from the people with a unique mindset. That a lot of stuff is getting closed down because they can't be funded. You know what I mean? And there's not enough people here in Akron that can pay for it because niggas don't want to live in Akron. They want to live in the burbs. They want to drive their kid into the city to do this shit.
Damn.
You know what
What
I mean?
is the burb in Akron that's so lit? Like, what is?
It's just not. It's not this, bro. It's quiet. It's Ohio.
Isn't this off the river? Isn't this off of like a small stream? Because it's like a
It
Cuyahoga
is like
it's
peaceful.
hot
It's like
river.
tranquil. It's like a different.
When you
type
go to-
of-
when you go to
it's
Fairmont-
like a different type of tranquil.
No,
I'm being from Cleveland. When I go to Akron, I'm like, man, I think Akron University. I think of like all the development, but I don't get to see the side of somebody that would have grown up in
See,
Akron.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up in Akron. I got people that I've lost in Akron. It's real
Yeah.
similar to Cleveland. It's just like Cleveland. It's
Yeah,
like Cleveland
yeah,
is
yeah.
just bigger.
Yeah.
It's a volume of people. It's
You know
just on
what?
a bigger scale.
You know, it's tough. We was having a conversation. Felt like a lot of schools and colleges are just built on the hood, like UCLA, right on Figueroa.
It's like
Everywhere
you
we
think about
go.
it like that, man. And it's like how? You know, when you think about, because thinking back in the day, this used to be the burbs. You know what I mean? This area here used to be the burbs. This is not the burbs no more.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that's
yeah.
how it is.
And it was the burbs back in like what, the 70s. You know what I mean? The high school around the corner used to be the high school in Akron. It was like the premier high school.
Is it social engineering? Is it that's what kind of
mean,
takes us a couple back? Because I feel like we deal with social engineering.
You think about, I mean, we talked about this earlier about how the people get in there, they don't know how to handle their property and the property value drops.
Right.
Here, people, they started having an influx of people buying. It was black people being able to afford this. My grandmother was a part of those people that first moved over here early in the 70s. She was part of the people who was on the higher end of the lower end, able to now afford this property stuff. So they come over here and start buying property here. More and more people start moving in. The property value starts dropping purely because the people with big money are leaving. You know what I mean? And stuff starts changing.
Yeah, taxes. People they not paying taxes.
Exactly.
But
and then it
that
just-
can
it's
get
just-
bad though too. Like look at California.
Right.
You could have got a house back in the day for like less than $500,000 if you was in the 90s or some shit. But then out of nowhere, the property value shoots up because of it costs $150K to build a house.
Yeah.
Let's not cap to each other unless we're gonna put each other in these containers. And we gotta we gotta get creative with it.
But like over here, that stuff dropped. And that came down, that residual, like you had property taxes, all that value.
It's a lot of brown folks in Akron, right?
Yeah, what you mean?
Brown, like Mexican, Hispanic.
I mean, there's a community. It's not as prevalent as it would be in Lorraine or being up there. Where
Hey, I was talking to them about Lorraine. I was like, I'm tapping in Lorraine County. I got a couple friends out there.
So wait, man. I
we
mean,
need to bring some
It's
positivity.
strong.
Yes.
all to the.
I'm for it.
to
I'm
link
down.
up.
Let's go.
That's a way. But I mean, you see it out here, like property taxes start dropping. You know what I mean? That goes back to the schools. The schools have less funding. You know what I mean? Now they get
Now
less,
our school's
less
abandoned
qualified.
though. Here's the thing I always kept wanting us to
Same
throw
over
out
here.
there. out in, especially after this COVID-19 stuff, we need our own spaces.
Yes.
So more than ever. And it
Yes.
ain't about if we can afford it. It's we got the infrastructure to do it.
Yes.
Because that's how people get universal health care.
Right.
That's how people somehow get, no cash bail bond. So saying, I don't care if you did something like be a pedophile, okay, you can't come out. But if you couldn't, you was selling a dime bag or something stupid, you're going to have to be on house arrest.
Right.
Because this exists in other places, but we don't really like, when you got like net neutrality and stuff, you don't get to really talk about it,
Say, man, hard habits break hard. I mean, you go over something like this when it's been that drilled into your mind as being the way things are done.
Correct.
It's tough to try and just flip that, especially with the people that are currently in power. So it also comes down to politics, man. We gotta get the right people. People who know what the community needs to be able to get in there and start saying this shit on the floor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of just saying stuff in the streets and hoping somebody listen that's gonna be able to relay the message. You know what I mean?
And then when it was politics, I'll take it back to this. I feel like, we kind of are on a like real live, especially with the stuff they saying, man. It's like we gotta really make it out of politics. Like we gotta say, all right, if you a Clevelander, if you a Northeast Ohioan, you deserve to not have blight, and you deserve to not have abandoned schools.
Right.
Just because you're an American, because we could Flint, Michigan, from what we've seen with this going on, that could have happened.
Dude,
right.
Easily, and it's on us a lot of times now. It's only the way we can only solve our problems.
Niggas don't want socialism, but
not socialism. We don't gotta go all the way.
But they
a couple
want this,
ideals.
But they don't want this either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you gotta figure out what you thinking about and stop getting so. The same thing happened. You know what I mean? It's same. Those words are so powerful. You know what I mean? The word socialism is such a heavy word. It's so weighted. You know.
Do you think that like I don't think we really get too much of a shake on like, democracy. Like we really on a republic. If you got it, you get it. And if you're not from here, you might just get it before the ones that
That's what I'm saying. We gotta figure out what is actually going on.
So
here,
we gotta really control the means of certain things in our community more than ever.
Right now, we are not in control. Obviously, that's why we're sitting here talking. So. You know what I mean? I'm from Akron. I see the same thing here as I do in Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's just a bigger scale, same problem. So, you know what I mean? Same people, just dealing with the same shit. So,
I feel like we have more access now. Like, if we just compare this, like, to maybe our parents' generation or prior.
Yeah.
We have more access, and technology is a thing now.
Yes.
So we can, like, have this access.
We can realize, the same thing happened in there as it is here, and in LA, and over here. And, you know what I mean? Just go across the board. You know what I'm saying? It's a real problem.
So you've been you've been to Lorraine a few times?
Why you saying it like that? Why you acting like it's something there I'm supposed to know? It's like a club or something.
It
must be a secret. It must be
Oberlin, man. Shout out to Oberlin, man.
Hey,
Ohio is walking Black history.
Lorraine must be
man.
treating
Every
you good.
day is Black history in Ohio, man.
You must have good times in Lorraine.
I'm just a
Sound
proud
like you must have
Ohioan,
good
man.
times in Lorraine. I know about Lorraine.
Wait, what happens in Lorraine?
What happens in Lorraine stays in Lorraine. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Say Lorraine ain't it. Say in 20 years, 30 years, Lorraine might not be a gold mine.
Oh my God.
Right off the water. You got nice places in Lorain County. Vermilion, Oberlin.
Oberlin is nice.
I'm talking about Grafton. Little places where, they just get their little boats. They get off the water. They in Canada.
Right.
Canada, like,
Right
20
there.
minutes away from us, y'all.
That's the thing. It's like
We need to tap in.
it's right there, man. You know what I mean? Cleveland is a
do
big
feel
city.
you.
You know, there's a lot of places in Cleveland. You know, you can.
It is,
all
yeah.
depends on what happens in 15 years. All depends on what we do now. So
That's true. That's true.
you know, shit's legit. I don't know.
Look at William.
He just vibing. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on before we?
Let's see. Not really, but y'all said 15 years. So what do y'all feel like? Not even Cleveland, just like Ohio, in terms of like infrastructure
I feel like
for
that'd be
millennial development.
Yeah,
What do
I'm
y'all
looking
feel like
forward
that would
to
look
it.
like?
I'm optimistic.
Universal health care, no cash
Oh,
bond.
this is what I'm talking about. Universal health. You talking
No
about
cash
grand
bond. Like Trader Joe's. You know, Trader Joe's is a model of a kind of socialistic of the business, you know?
What you mean?
Like we develop our own
It's-
products
Yeah.
and we control the means of it, you know? And it's a
Amazon, right?
model. And it can be with different things. It should be with things like our healthcare and our policing. That's why we need no cash bond. Like, I really get sick of all the like human trafficking that's going on. Like, you go to LA, you know, go to Atlanta, you know, don't act like it's
Take that
you
somewhere
go on the
else.
west
Right.
side
Right.
on certain parts of Lorraine, or go somewhere in northeast Ohio in these rural areas. We gotta really like, what's the stand? Like, we got. You know, are we gonna like?
They don't know what they're looking for at the time. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of the people don't take it seriously. And it's because of the fact that, like you're saying, people think it's not happening in their backyard. So,
They totally think it's taboo. It's totally not.
no. This is low-key like where it's happening at. So
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's actually
It's
a
just-
port
this is
right here.
actually here. Like,
But then it's also, let me say this, that ties into this capitalism thing we got going on. Like, I was in, if y'all ever been to Atlanta, you know, there's Savannah, right? And Savannah's off the water.
Right.
And the supposed story is that's how we got here in Georgia. But I think that we, you know, was already here for sure. But all I'm saying is you got a city with like dungeons on the bottom of the city,
Right.
the infrastructure for the
Right.
city.
it's built this way.
And it's like you got hospitals built already, and you can bail out a company 1,000 times. But what about that American? We need to control the means of our community, you know,
Right.
on a local level.
Yeah.
We got to start like, you know, we got to get our bullet points up.
Yep.
No cash bail bond.
Yes, Miguel, come on.
Universal health care. You know, free education because we can afford it.
We can
A
afford it.
lot of these institutions have already admitted that they have banking and funding from.
They get something from the state,
That's
man.
not-
No, like
Yeah.
You already got a 400-year head start, and you built the institution. It's right next to us. Like what we gonna do? Is you gonna break bread or what? Like, what is it gonna be?
wow. Miguel for president?
Come on, right,
man.
talking that talk.
That's real.
No, I'm just saying.
These are
I'm
facts,
just
man.
saying.
No cap.
This thing is like, I wish more people thought like that because maybe we wouldn't be right here. You know what I mean? Especially more people our age was talking like that because it wouldn't be so taboo to talk about any of this stuff, whether it be human trafficking or it be universal
Right.
health care. It wouldn't be so weird to be like, oh, what? I ain't got no.
Right, or
You
like
know what I
y'all don't
mean?
know
You
most
know,
of
but
our
you
money
know it-
comes from human trafficking. Like that
And
should
you know
be
what's
a noted
crazy?
thing.
It's like we got the setup that still kind of makes us have these issues. You know, like they was on the news in Savannah when I was there, and I woke up and I was like, oh, you know, it's kind of a ghost town
Yo.
for real. You know why it's a ghost
And
town?
the complacency not to
You
do
know why
anything
it's
about
a
it
ghost
because
town.
we've
They-
been
Right.
here this whole time and nobody's gonna be like, oh, maybe we should do something about that.
Maybe we
Right.
should just, you know, say locally for the better of the good. The ones who've been getting the bailout 1,000,000 times say it's free. We can afford it. Let's be
Right,
real.
for
We got enough homeless people. We got enough houses that are empty to
Yeah.
house homeless people.
It's tough.
Let's not.
is facts.
They be capping, man.
Big.
I'm telling you, it's big cap. It ain't. They dead
it's
wrong.
a marketing scheme. America is a marketing scheme.
But no, when I was watching the news, they was like, "Oh man, developers can't figure out why they have all these tunnels down here in the Savannah." And they were like interviewing folks, and they were asking them, and they were like, "Shoot, I don't know.
You know damn well.
Right, like I'm pretty sure you know.
We know. So when you have stuff like that, and then you have abandoned areas and abandoned people,
breeds that shit.
Yeah, it breeds it, and then everybody's in jail. We have to have no cash bail bond. Let's be real. These corporations done got us when it comes to this legal system. Like,
Wow.
we gotta
So-
really address these
So
issues.
explain why that's a thing. No cash bail bond.
All right, so no cash. One thing that's really prideful to me is like protecting our families. Like this human trafficking really is affecting men, women, like safety. You know, so I got a kid. I care about it, and I
Right.
want to. The way I want to see this world, it's got to be a no cash bail bond, because if you are a pedophile, you most likely will get less than 10 years for weird shit like that in this country. But if you protect somebody and you shoot somebody down that might have done something wrong to you, you might get life.
Like right now,
if you don't
with
got
that-
the bread to
with that
fight
case,
it.
with that case going on right now with the girl whose house was stormed with the police. They stormed in,
Oh,
and all that
stormed in
stuff,
and shot her while she was asleep.
and it was the wrong house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So also that's another thing that we're gonna have to work on is with the lawlessness of the police.
Yes, and no knock raids and all that stuff.
But let me finish the cash bail point.
Yeah.
It's like if you can afford it, if you're a rich pedophile, which it's a
It's a slew
back
of
on the
those.
street.
Right.
if you get some people around you that's cool, they'll pay that
Pay
bond.
that. Ooh, pay that off.
But
Not that.
if you can't afford it, you gonna sit.
And
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you can afford it. It matters on what kind of crime did you
Yeah,
commit.
yeah.
Because my community is rampant of people that will like. I'm not gonna say my community. I'm not gonna get all too extra, but
Right.
you can kidnap people. It's happening in Ohio,
Right.
Like, and you can do it in all these different places. And it's not right. We gotta kind of stand on it. Like, you know, we gotta really kind of stand on these
Gotta
things.
save
And you look
the
at that, that
kids.
stuff is buried down in the law, like you said. Like some of these things, you should not be able to get out on at all. You know, what I mean? You
Right.
should be able to be sitting there until we figure this out or not. You know what I mean? But sometimes when in the crimes where it's almost predominantly made by people that are of lower income,
Establishments.
you know, yes, exactly. People with less resources.
Yeah.
They get stuck in a situation where they're and if anything, people in the lower resource situation, they're more needed. They're more imperative when it comes to their family making it to tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Right.
You keep them in a cell for 2 weeks on trumped up charges that aren't even real, and they end up getting out anyway. But in that moment, they lost their place to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now
And
now
then
they
we got
family.
so much corruption. Like as a country, we're corrupt. So if we're gonna really do it, we gotta pick up a sword and slice through it with like a flag that we believe in, you know, and whatever that flag may be, you know. But you gotta have some kind of things that's gonna really attack institutional statistic issues if we're gonna really be competitive as a country.
You gotta be willing to actually attack it though.
Yeah, you know, like it's got, if we're gonna be a real competitive place like Canada, like Costa Rica, they got universal health care. Canada does too.
Right.
You know, when you have universal health care, your prescription prices are not gonna, essentially having a prescription wouldn't be necessary if you had universal health care. Think of it.
I have a question. Are y'all willing to pay higher taxes?
Yeah.
We pay them already, yeah.
I'm about to say,
No. I mean, compared to if you talk to a Canada, their taxes are higher. But I feel like you save money in the long run because higher taxes enable you to provide more social services, which then in turn, although you're paying more in taxes, is less money that has to be taken
overall
out of the pocket of your average
overall
person.
And
quality
look how,
of life.
and y'all
It's
know how
higher,
clean Canada is. You know, the police not putting people down either. They riding on horses and they'll pull up on you like, "Hey, bro, set my horse."
So my whole thing is this. All right, so I thought about it like this. Why can't, when we buy back these blocks, when we create these newer communities, why don't we institute our own HOAs? Why don't we institute?
Yeah, we do need our housing association.
Why don't we institute our own
We need our own
form of
institutions.
Gotta find a
business
block first,
business
man.
associations? Where it's like y'all, there's essentially a community tax here if you're gonna be in this community, and those taxes go towards being able to provide more social services for those who are in this community
gotta
and
buy the
of this
block.
community.
You gotta buy the block first. You gotta
Exactly.
get somebody there. You got investment group. You gotta get somebody there to actually buy the block,
Buy
to
the
actually
block.
start making the first step forward
Right.
without actually owning that info or owning that property or owning those residences at all. You can't do anything like that.
Yeah,
know
you
what
don't
I
really,
mean?
you can't really like determine.
You have to own all that property.
Yeah, you really
actually.
can't just like say, "Oh, I'm about to take this," but it's so many issues, man. It's like,
You gotta have people on the back end knowing how to move forward. You know what I mean? That's all. To me, it all starts with education. You can't just like go like, oh, I'm about to go do this.
and
You know
network.
what I mean?
It's
Yeah,
networking
that's fair
too.
too. You know what I mean?
Because you could be so educated and still be locked out. Because we got our community has a lot of educated people. We got, you know, presidents.
That's fair too.
We
But
got,
I mean,
but it's like the networking. Like we gotta
like, who
have
do you-
that platform.
who
Say,
do
oh,
you-
this is the platform where you tap in.
exactly. You got to know where to actually tap in at and all that stuff. And I feel like it comes like understanding. You know what I mean? That's why we got y'all on here, because like I don't know shit about real estate. Y'all do. You know what I mean? And y'all are able to talk about what matters, who matters. You know what I mean? And when it comes down to a point of opportunity knocking on my door, I know how to take advantage of it. The same with y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So.
man. I think the Northeast Ohio just got to link up, man.
For
The
real.
whole Summit County, Lorain County, Cuyahoga, because there's a lot of folks down here, and we got to have all of our interests and all of our basic needs met. as an American.
As a minimum,
Right.
Because if we sooner or later, it's gonna slip right out from us, like Flint, Michigan. You could lose. We got a lot of different
it's
issues.
been like 6
Yeah.
years. They still just
Man, I
rocking.
think it's gonna
Right.
feel like it's been a
Man,
decade, man.
right.
How long has it been?
It's been since 2014.
And then it was like that's just when they figured it out.
Right. Exactly.
So, right.
Exactly.
So, we gotta own and control these means locally. We gotta really tap in with each other.
and everybody know about that too.
We
It's
gotta
not-
really
Everybody
tap
knows.
in.
and it's nothing's happening. It's really crazy. to think-
This is crazy.
It's really crazy to think about. It's like no matter if they know people out there suffering, you know what I mean? You act like they don't know what's happening in
It's the
Cleveland
government and
or
how
what's
they
happening
operate
in-
is
you
really
gotta
weird.
do something from with them. because
Right.
You dealing with it. We
You
got
have to care about your community.
And then, when you got stuff like human trafficking going on, you already know that's going to take up the intensity of crime in your area. Like, come on. You can't have something like that happen in your backyard and think it's not going to make the community. And it's not
Facts.
people in the community
No, it's
doing
not.
it to the people in the community.
Exactly.
It's outside
It's
things.
literally
Like, certain
being preyed
things can
on,
happen
you know what I mean?
here and you could get out of jail. If you're a human trafficker, you can't be broke doing that. A lot of people ain't.
No, you're
No,
elite.
there's no
You're
way you
rich.
can.
You're super
Man.
rich.
Or just other things like stuff that happens. Like I want us to tap in with the art. That's why I feel like you key, because the art is really important, and we just get a way to get some ownership in it. One, and just get ahead. Just like they got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We need the Marcus Garvey Hall of Fame.
Yes, we do.
We need the Malcolm X Hall of Fame.
Yes, we do.
And it's like we need the ownership of our culture to say, okay, we just need the every part of Africa, every country. We need all those Hall of Fames right now.
Right.
'Cause we all from there. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So we can have some records.
We gotta really tap in with each other, man.
We need a black resume. Noted and documented. That's real. Dang. This is a great conversation. Like, what?
We gotta
All
have
this
somebody
beautiful
next time when
energy.
we talk. We gotta have something like somebody that really can break it down to us on how. We gotta tap in with Red Hook Brooklyn, Silicon Harlem,
We can do that.
NYC Mesh.
We can do that.
I know that there's somebody in other places they creating mesh networks, man.
Oh, that's easy. It's just nothing but tapping in and reaching out.
Yeah, and then what Tyler's saying, that's an area, right? Key area where we can, have a equitable internet initiative.
Definitely.
That's about the food.
And we can
the
break that
goods,
down
man.
to the people so they can
Stuff is
understand
just
what that is.
Next level. Stuff's crazy. Oh, crazy.
Definitely is. That was a solid convo.
The future is now.
No, for real. That's how I feel. Last words.
Love yourself and invest in yourself. Definitely.
Yeah, that was a killer right there. That was like a nutshell summary of everything you need to know right now. Love yourself and invest in yourself.
Smooth seas never made skilled sailors. So if you in the fire, be proud because you about to be a champion on them seas. You definitely gonna be a champion.
That's real, man. Sweat making your shield so you don't bleed on the battlefield, man. Yeah.
What?
Keep grinding,
that's
educating
fine.
yourself.
Wait, say that one again, Stacey.
Sweat while you make your shield so you don't bleed on the battlefield.
Wow.
This stuff is real, man. Educate yourself. Make sure that you're
Bars.
good, man. Cause war is coming. It's gonna be time you gotta show your skills soon enough. Just gotta be ready regardless. So
That's facts.
Strengthen your core and keep your foundation strong.
These quotes, we need to put these in a book. Oh, I'm dropping a book. Hey, everybody.
Right,
So,
right.
hello.
Softflex.
I'm dropping a book this upcoming week. It's going to be called Fuck Anxiety, Be Happy. I didn't know if you guys knew it's Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May. So, yeah, that's going to be my personal contribution, and I'm going to be talking about that this upcoming week.
dropping it this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, this week, like
That is
Drop
crazy.
it, drop it, drop it.
Let's
like
go.
tomorrow.
Damn.
Like
lit.
I have to promote. I might promote tomorrow and drop it Tuesday because, like, yeah, people literally don't know. But I've been working on a whole book.
Ebook.
The
Y'all
ebook.
gotta read
Yeah.
it.
It's a wave. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm definitely reading it.
Bet.
Y'all, everybody.
Till next time. Till next time. Till next time.